Hello, and welcome to the Cozy Curiosity channel. Tonight, we'll embark on a tranquil journey through the crystalline world of winter, exploring 100 mesmerizing facts about Earth's coldest season. From the delicate geometry of snowflakes to the ancient ice that holds secrets from millions of years ago, winter transforms our planet into a realm of quiet beauty and scientific wonder. We'll discover how creatures survive in frozen landscapes, why snow glows blue in the moonlight, and how winter shapes everything from ocean currents to human history. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. It helps other sleepy souls find their way here. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now settle in. Let your breathing slow to the gentle rhythm of falling snow, and allow your mind to drift like snowflakes on a winter breeze. Whether you're here to learn, relax, or simply drift into peaceful sleep, these calming stories will guide you through winter's most enchanting mysteries. Let's begin. No two snowflakes are exactly alike because of the infinite variations in their formation journey. Each snowflake begins as a tiny ice crystal, forming around a particle of dust or pollen in a cloud, where temperatures hover below freezing. As the crystal falls through different layers of atmosphere, it encounters varying temperatures and humidity levels, and these constantly changing conditions determine how the ice crystal grows. Water molecules attach to the crystal in patterns governed by temperature, with each degree of difference creating distinct branching structures. Because no two snowflakes travel through exactly the same combination of atmospheric conditions, their final forms are unique. A snowflake might pass through a layer of dry air that creates simple plates, then tumble into humid conditions that sprout elaborate dendrites, creating an intricate history written in ice. The beautiful symmetry we see in snowflakes occurs because all 6 arms experience the same journey simultaneously, growing in harmony as the crystal spins and falls. This combination of universal physical laws and individual circumstance makes each snowflake a tiny masterpiece, a crystalline autobiography of its journey from cloud to earth. Antarctica contains about 90% of all the ice on Earth, holding secrets frozen in time. This vast continent, nearly twice the size of Australia, is covered by an ice sheet that averages over a mile thick and reaches nearly 3 miles at its deepest points. The sheer volume of ice in Antarctica is staggering, containing approximately 26.5 million cubic kilometers of frozen water. If all this ice were to melt, global sea levels would rise by about 200 feet, dramatically reshaping coastlines worldwide. But Antarctica's ice is more than just frozen water. It's an archive of Earth's climate history, with air bubbles trapped in ice cores, preserving atmospheric samples from hundreds of thousands of years ago. Scientists drilling into this ancient ice can analyze these bubbles to understand past climates, atmospheric composition, and even ancient volcanic eruptions. Some of the ice at Antarctica's core is nearly 1 million years old, formed when early humans were just beginning to walk upright. The continent's extreme cold, with temperatures dropping below -128 degrees Fahrenheit, ensures that this frozen library remains preserved, holding knowledge about our planet's past and offering clues about its future. The Arctic fox changes its coat color with the seasons, transforming from brown to brilliant white in winter. This remarkable adaptation serves as one of nature's most elegant examples of seasonal camouflage, allowing the fox to blend seamlessly into its environment year-round. During summer months, the Arctic fox sports a coat of brown or grey fur that helps it disappear among rocks, vegetation, and tundra soil. As autumn approaches and temperatures drop, the fox begins growing an entirely new coat of pristine white fur, replacing the brown summer pelage over several weeks. This winter coat is not just white for camouflage, it's also incredibly dense, with some of the warmest fur of any mammal, providing insulation that allows Arctic foxes to withstand temperatures as low as -70 degrees Celsius without shivering. The white coat contains hollow guard hairs that trap air, creating additional insulation while scattering light to produce the brilliant white color. This adaptation is so effective that Arctic foxes are one of the few mammals that can remain active throughout the harsh polar winter. When spring returns and snow begins to melt, the cycle reverses, and the fox gradually sheds its white coat to reveal brown fur beneath, staying perpetually synchronized with the landscape in an ancient dance between animal and season. Snow is actually translucent, not white, and reflects light in fascinating ways. Individual ice crystals are transparent, allowing light to pass through them, just like clear glass or water. So why does snow appear brilliantly white to our eyes? The answer lies in how light interacts with the countless surfaces in a mass of snow. Each snowflake has multiple facets and edges, and when light enters a snowbank, it bounces between these countless surfaces, scattering in all directions. This scattering affects all wavelengths of visible light equally, and when all colors of light are reflected together, our eyes perceive white. The same principle makes clouds appear white, even though they're made of transparent water droplets. Interestingly, deep snow can appear blue, especially in crevasses or thick accumulations. This happens because red wavelengths of light are absorbed more readily as light penetrates deeper into the snow, while blue wavelengths continue to scatter and eventually reflect back to the surface. This selective absorption creates the ethereal blue glow, sometimes visible in ice caves, glacial crevasses, and thick snowdrifts. The purity of snow also affects its appearance. Perfectly clean snow reflects about 80 to 90% of incoming sunlight, making it one of nature's best reflectors, and explaining why sunny winter days can be blindingly bright. The northern lights, or aurora borealis, are most active during winter months and are caused by solar wind interacting with Earth's atmosphere. These mesmerizing curtains of green, pink, red, and purple light dance across polar skies in one of nature's most spectacular displays. The phenomenon begins 93 million miles away on the Sun, where magnetic storms release streams of charged particles, electrons and protons, into space. When these particles reach Earth, traveling at speeds up to 45 million miles per hour, they're drawn toward the magnetic poles by Earth's magnetic field. As they collide with oxygen and nitrogen molecules in the upper atmosphere, typically 60 to 200 miles above Earth's surface, they transfer energy to these gas molecules. When the energized molecules return to their normal state, they release this energy as light. Oxygen produces the familiar green and red hues, while nitrogen creates blue and purple tones. The colors depend on altitude and which gas is involved. The lights appear more frequently and intensely during winter, not because the phenomenon is stronger, but because long polar nights provide the darkness needed to see them, and clearer winter skies offer better viewing conditions. Indigenous peoples across the Arctic have created countless myths and legends about the aurora, seeing in the lights everything from dancing spirits to reflections from heavenly fires, adding layers of cultural meaning to this scientific wonder. Water expands when it freezes, a unique property that's essential for life on Earth. Most substances contract and become denser when they solidify, but water defies this rule, expanding by about 9% as it transitions from liquid to solid. This unusual behavior occurs because of water's molecular structure. Liquid water molecules move freely, constantly forming and breaking hydrogen bonds with neighboring molecules in a dynamic dance. But as temperature drops toward freezing, these hydrogen bonds begin to lock into place, forming a crystalline lattice structure with more space between molecules than in liquid water. This expansion is why ice floats, and why frozen water pipes can burst with tremendous force, exerting pressure of up to 40,000 pounds per square inch. The ecological importance of this property cannot be overstated. Because ice floats, lakes, and oceans freeze from the top down rather than the bottom up. This creates an insulating layer that protects aquatic life below, allowing fish, plants, and microorganisms to survive winter in liquid water beneath the ice. If ice were denser than water and sank, bodies of water would freeze solid from the bottom up, likely killing all aquatic life, and fundamentally altering Earth's climate and ecosystems. This quirk of chemistry is one of the many seemingly coincidental properties that make Earth hospitable to life as we know it. Penguins huddle together in massive groups to survive Antarctic winter, demonstrating remarkable cooperation. Emperor penguins, the largest of all penguin species, breed during the Antarctic winter in one of the harshest environments on Earth, where temperatures can plummet to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit and winds can exceed 100 miles per hour. To survive these extreme conditions while incubating their eggs, thousands of male penguins form tightly packed huddles, standing shoulder to shoulder in circular formations. These huddles are not static. They operate with fluid dynamics that scientists are still working to fully understand. Penguins on the cold outer edges slowly shuffle toward the warmer center, while those who've warmed up gradually move outward, creating a continuous rotation that ensures no individual bears too much cold for too long. Inside the huddle, temperatures can be 50 degrees warmer than the surrounding air. The penguins move in coordinated waves, each bird taking small steps that propagate through the group like a slow-motion crowd wave. This movement happens every 30 to 60 seconds, with each penguin stepping forward just a few inches. But the cumulative effect allows thousands of birds to maintain optimal positioning. During the 64 days of incubation, male emperors don't eat, losing up to half their body weight while keeping their eggs warm, balanced on their feet under a fold of skin. This extraordinary endurance and cooperation represents one of nature's most impressive examples of collective survival. The oldest ice on Earth is found in Antarctica and is nearly 2.7 million years old. In a remote region of Antarctica called Allen Hills Blue Ice Area, scientists have discovered ice that formed during a time when Earth's climate was dramatically different from today. This ancient ice contains trapped air bubbles that serve as time capsules, preserving atmospheric samples from an era when our planet was transitioning into its current pattern of ice ages. Analyzing these bubbles allows researchers to measure the exact composition of the atmosphere from millions of years ago, including levels of carbon dioxide, methane, and other greenhouse gases. The ice itself tells stories beyond atmospheric composition. Dust particles trapped in annual layers provide evidence of volcanic eruptions, meteor impacts, and continental dust storms from epochs long past. Isotopic analysis of the ice reveals temperature fluctuations, helping scientists understand how Earth's climate has naturally varied over vast timescales. This research is crucial for understanding current climate change, as it provides context for how today's rapid atmospheric changes compare to natural variations over geological time. The ice at Allen Hills survives because of unique conditions. Strong winds remove younger snow layers, while very slow ice flow and minimal melting allow ancient ice to remain exposed at the surface. These frozen archives are invaluable, offering direct physical evidence of Earth's climate history and helping scientists calibrate computer models that predict future climate scenarios. Wood frogs can freeze solid during winter and thaw back to life in spring. These remarkable amphibians, found across North America from the Arctic Circle to the southern Appalachians, have evolved one of nature's most astonishing survival strategies. As temperatures drop in autumn, wood frogs seek shelter under leaf litter and prepare for a transformation that would kill most creatures. When ice begins forming in their bodies, the frogs don't fight it. Instead, their bodies produce high concentrations of glucose, essentially converting their cells into a natural antifreeze solution. As much as 70% of the water in their bodies can freeze solid, with ice forming between cells and in body cavities. During this frozen state, the frog's heart stops beating completely. It ceases breathing, and no blood flows through its veins. By any conventional definition, the frog appears dead, but protected by glucose and special proteins that prevent ice crystals from damaging cell membranes, the frog's vital organs survive intact. When spring warmth returns, the frog's core begins thawing first, with ice slowly melting from the inside out over several hours. Within 24 hours of starting to thaw, the heart resumes beating, blood begins flowing again, and the frog hops away as if nothing unusual has happened. Scientists studying this remarkable adaptation hope to understand how wood frogs prevent the cellular damage that normally occurs during freezing, knowledge that could revolutionize organ preservation for transplants and even long-term space travel. The frog's ability to survive repeated freeze-thaw cycles throughout winter represents millions of years of evolution, producing a living miracle. The coldest temperature ever recorded on Earth was negative 128.6 degrees Fahrenheit in Antarctica. On July 21st, 1983, at the Soviet Vostok station, located on the East Antarctic ice sheet at an elevation of 11,444 feet, instruments recorded this staggering temperature. At such extreme cold, the world transforms into an alien landscape where ordinary materials behave in extraordinary ways. Steel becomes brittle and can shatter like glass. Exposed skin would suffer frostbite in less than a minute, and a cup of boiling water thrown into the air would instantly vaporize or freeze into ice crystals before hitting the ground. Human breath would freeze into ice particles before reaching the ground, creating a phenomenon locals call the whisper of the stars. The extreme cold at Vostok results from a perfect storm of conditions. The station sits on a vast ice plateau, far from any ocean that might moderate temperatures. At high elevation, where the thin atmosphere provides little insulation, during the polar night when the sun doesn't rise for months. Clear, calm conditions allow heat to radiate into space without clouds to trap it, creating a natural deep freeze. More recently, satellite measurements have detected even colder temperatures, as low as negative 136 degrees Fahrenheit on the highest ridges of the Antarctic ice sheet, though these haven't been confirmed by ground stations. At such temperatures, carbon dioxide would freeze solid, and the air itself would feel thick and strange. These extreme cold spots represent the lower limit of temperature on Earth's surface, places where the planet reveals just how cold it can become. Icicles form in spiral patterns due to the Coriolis effect and surface tension. While they might appear to simply drip straight down, close examination of icicles often reveals subtle spiral ripples encircling them. These ripples form through a delicate interplay of physics involving water flow, heat transfer, and surface dynamics. As water flows down an icicle's surface in a thin film, it freezes gradually, but not uniformly. Small imperfections in the ice surface create slight variations in thickness, and these variations affect how subsequent water flows and freezes. The process is self-reinforcing. Areas that freeze faster create small bumps that divert water flow, which freezes differently, creating more bumps. Some researchers have found that icicles sometimes rotate slowly as they grow, possibly influenced by environmental factors like wind or uneven sun exposure, which contributes to the spiral patterns. The ripples typically space themselves about 1 centimeter apart, regardless of the icicle's total size. This regularity suggests an underlying physical principle similar to the spacing of sand ripples or water waves. The formation process is also temperature dependent. Very cold conditions create icicles that grow primarily at the tip, producing long, thin spikes, while temperatures closer to freezing allow more water to freeze along the entire length, creating thicker, more textured icicles. The precise mechanisms are still being studied, but each icicle represents a frozen record of the constantly shifting balance between flowing water, freezing conditions, and the subtle forces that shape how ice accumulates. Snow can actually make the world quieter by absorbing sound waves. Fresh, fluffy snow is an excellent acoustic insulator, and a heavy snowfall can transform a landscape's soundscape dramatically. The effect is most pronounced with fresh snow that hasn't been compacted or melted and refrozen. Each snowflake in freshly fallen snow is surrounded by air pockets, and these countless tiny air spaces trap sound waves, preventing them from bouncing and echoing as they normally would. The porous structure of snow absorbs sound energy, converting it to tiny amounts of heat. This is why a snow-covered landscape often feels eerily quiet, with sounds seeming muffled and close. Acoustic studies have measured that fresh snow can absorb up to 60% of sound energy across a broad range of frequencies. High-frequency sounds like voices are absorbed particularly well, while low-frequency sounds can travel somewhat further. The depth of snow matters. A thick blanket of snow provides more absorption than a light dusting. As snow ages and becomes denser, through melting and refreezing, it becomes less effective at absorbing sound and may even reflect more sound. This acoustic property of snow has practical applications. Transportation departments use it to reduce highway noise in winter, and winter camping in snow caves or igloos can be remarkably quiet. The silence of a snowy forest at night represents one of the quietest natural environments on Earth, a hush that seems to slow time itself. The Inuit languages have multiple words for different types of snow, reflecting its importance in their culture. Contrary to popular myth, Inuit languages don't have hundreds of words for snow, but they do have a sophisticated vocabulary that reflects intimate knowledge of winter conditions. In Inuktitut, for example, there are words for freshly fallen snow, wet snow, crusty snow, snow good for building igloos, wind-packed snow, and many other specific conditions. This reflects both the linguistic structure of Inuit languages, which build complex words from smaller parts, and the crucial importance of understanding snow conditions for survival. Knowing whether snow is kanik, falling snow, or API, snow on the ground, or pukak, crystalline snow that forms at the base of the snowpack, wasn't merely academic for traditional Inuit peoples. It was literally life or death information. Certain types of snow were better for building shelters. Others indicated safe or dangerous travel conditions, and some suggested where to hunt. This detailed vocabulary represents accumulated wisdom from thousands of years of Arctic living. Similar specialized vocabularies exist in other cultures closely tied to winter environments. Sami reindeer herders in Scandinavia have extensive terminology for snow and ice conditions, as do various alpine cultures. These rich vocabularies remind us that language shapes and is shaped by environment and experience. Where snow is merely occasional inconvenience, a few words suffice. Where it's a constant presence that shapes every aspect of life, language develops nuance and precision that outsiders might never notice. Polar bears are the largest land carnivores, perfectly adapted to Arctic winters with remarkable features. A large male polar bear can weigh up to 500 pounds and stand over 10 feet tall on its hind legs. Yet this massive predator moves across ice with surprising grace and speed. Every aspect of the polar bear's physiology represents adaptations to one of Earth's harshest environments. Their fur isn't actually white. Each hair is transparent and hollow, appearing white because it scatters and reflects light. These hollow hairs trap air for insulation, while beneath the fur, black skin absorbs any warmth from sunlight that penetrates through. Under the skin, a layer of blubber, up to 4.5 inches thick, provides additional insulation and energy storage. The bear's large paws function as snowshoes, distributing their weight across a larger area to prevent breaking through thin ice, while small bumps and cavities on their paw pads provide traction on slippery surfaces. Polar bears are powerful swimmers, capable of swimming for days across open ocean, with their partially webbed front paws serving as paddles and their streamlined head and shoulders cutting efficiently through water. Their sense of smell is extraordinarily acute, allowing them to detect seals, their primary prey, nearly a mile away or under several feet of snow and ice. Unlike most bears, polar bears don't truly hibernate, though pregnant females den during winter to give birth. These magnificent creatures face an uncertain future as climate change reduces Arctic sea ice, the platform from which they hunt seals, highlighting how even the most perfectly adapted species can be vulnerable to rapid environmental change. The first successful snowflake photographs were taken by Wilson Bentley in the 1880s, revolutionizing our understanding of snow. Bentley, a farmer from Vermont with no formal scientific training, became fascinated with snowflakes as a teenager and spent years perfecting a technique to photograph them. Working in an unheated woodshed during snowstorms, he would catch snowflakes on black velvet, quickly examine them under a microscope attached to a bellows camera, and photograph them before they melted. The process required extraordinary patience and skill, as snowflakes melt quickly, and the slightest breath or warmth could destroy the specimen. Over his lifetime, Bentley captured more than 5,000 snowflake images, never finding two that were identical. His photographs revealed for the first time the astonishing complexity and variety of snowflake structures, showing the world that these tiny ice crystals were intricate works of natural art. Before Bentley's work, most people had never seen the detailed structure of individual snowflakes. His images sparked scientific interest in snow crystal formation and inspired generations of researchers. Bentley's dedication came at personal cost. He often worked in bitter cold, suffered from poor health, and died at age 66 from pneumonia, contracted after walking 6 miles home through a blizzard. His legacy lives on in the thousands of images that combine scientific documentation with artistic beauty, reminding us that profound discoveries can come from patient observation and the determination to reveal hidden beauty in nature's smallest creations. Snowshoe hares change color seasonally, growing white fur in winter and brown in summer for camouflage. This remarkable transformation helps the hares blend into their environment year-round, providing protection from predators like lynx, foxes, and great horned owls. The color change is triggered by shifting day length rather than temperature, as the hare's eyes detect decreasing autumn daylight and increasing spring daylight, sending hormonal signals that initiate new fur growth. The process takes about 10 weeks, with the transformation happening gradually as new white or brown fur replaces the old coat. During transition periods, hares can appear patchy and mottled. In recent years, climate change has created a troubling mismatch for some hare populations. As winters become shorter and snow arrives later, hares may turn white while the ground remains brown, making them conspicuous against the landscape. Similarly, early snowmelt can leave white hares exposed against bare ground. Studies have shown that this color mismatch significantly increases predation risk, with mismatched hares 7 times more likely to be killed by predators than well-camouflaged ones. This demonstrates how climate change can disrupt finely tuned evolutionary adaptations that developed over thousands of years. Some hare populations show signs of adapting, with individuals in warmer regions staying browner longer. But whether these adaptations can keep pace with rapidly changing conditions remains uncertain. The snowshoe hare's seasonal transformation serves as a visible indicator of how warming temperatures are affecting wildlife across northern regions. The science of why ice is slippery remains debated, with multiple factors contributing to reduced friction. For over a century, scientists assumed that pressure from ice skates or shoes caused a thin layer of ice to melt, creating a lubricating water film. While this happens to some degree, research has shown the explanation is incomplete. Ice surfaces have a naturally occurring liquid-like layer, even at temperatures well below freezing, where pressure alone couldn't cause melting. This quasi-liquid layer exists because water molecules at the ice surface aren't fully bonded to other molecules, like those deeper in the ice, giving them more freedom to move. The thickness of this layer depends on temperature. At temperatures just below freezing, the layer may be hundreds of molecules thick, making ice very slippery. At extremely cold temperatures, the layer thins, which is why ice becomes less slippery in severe cold. Friction from moving across ice also generates heat, melting a thin layer and contributing to slipperiness. The combination of the naturally occurring surface layer, pressure-induced melting, and friction-generated heat creates the famously slippery surface. Interestingly, other materials don't behave this way. Frozen carbon dioxide, dry ice, isn't slippery because it doesn't form this surface layer. The slipperiness of ice has shaped human history, enabling ice skating, hockey, curling, and facilitating winter transportation in northern regions. Modern research into ice slipperiness has applications in understanding planetary science, improving winter road safety, and even developing better ice skates and sleds. Lake Baikal in Siberia freezes with such clarity you can see 130 feet down through the ice. This ancient lake, the world's deepest and largest by volume, holds about 20% of Earth's fresh surface water. In winter, when temperatures plummet to negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, the lake freezes to depths of over 3 feet, creating one of nature's most spectacular phenomena. The ice that forms is extraordinarily clear because Baikal's water is exceptionally pure, filtered by endemic sponges and plankton found nowhere else on Earth. When the lake freezes in calm conditions, large sections form ice so transparent it resembles glass, allowing sunlight to penetrate deep into the water below and creating an eerie sensation of floating above an abyss when standing on the ice. The clarity also reveals another wonder. As ice forms and shifts with temperature changes, it creates dramatic features, including towering shards standing vertically like frozen sculptures, some reaching 40 feet high. These ice formations, along with countless bubbles frozen in clear ice, create an otherworldly landscape. Methane bubbles rise from decomposing organic matter on the lake bottom and freeze in place, creating striking patterns of white spheres suspended in crystal clear ice. The Baikal ice also produces haunting sounds. As temperature fluctuations cause the ice to expand and contract, it generates cracks that race across the surface at high speed, creating rifle-like cracks and deep groaning sounds that echo across the frozen lake. Local residents and tourists venture onto the ice to witness these phenomena, driving cars and even setting up temporary ice roads, though global warming is shortening the ice season and raising concerns about this remarkable ecosystem's future. Avalanches can travel over 200 miles per hour and are one of winter's most destructive forces. These massive flows of snow descend mountainsides with terrifying speed and power, carrying thousands of tons of snow, ice, rocks, and debris. Avalanches occur when snow accumulated on a slope becomes unstable and suddenly releases, triggered by factors including additional snowfall, warming temperatures, rain, wind loading, or human activity. The snow accelerates as it descends, entraining more snow and debris, and sometimes creating a powder cloud that can precede the main avalanche mass. Large avalanches can generate winds exceeding 200 mph ahead of the snow itself, strong enough to destroy forests and buildings before the snow even arrives. The destructive power comes not just from speed but from mass. A single cubic meter of dense avalanche snow can weigh 500 kilograms, and avalanches can move millions of cubic meters. This combination creates forces capable of snapping mature trees, demolishing buildings, and burying victims under meters of snow that sets like concrete when it stops. The snow in an avalanche undergoes a dramatic transformation. What starts as light powder or layered snowpack becomes a churning, tumbling mass that can contain blocks of ice weighing tons. When the avalanche stops, the snow often consolidates into a dense mass that's extremely difficult to dig through. People caught in avalanches have only about 15 minutes to be rescued if fully buried. After 35 minutes, survival rates drop below 30%. Understanding avalanche formation has become increasingly important as more people venture into mountain terrain for recreation, and climate change alters traditional snow patterns, making avalanche forecasting both more crucial and more challenging. The Antarctic ice sheet contains enough ice to raise global sea levels by 200 feet if it completely melted. This massive reservoir of frozen water represents approximately 26.5 million cubic kilometers of ice, accumulated over millions of years. The ice sheet covers an area larger than the United States and Mexico combined, with an average thickness of more than a mile and maximum thickness approaching 3 miles in some locations. The sheer weight of this ice is so immense that it has pressed the underlying bedrock down, creating deep basins that lie below sea level under the ice's weight. If the ice were removed, the land would slowly rebound over thousands of years, rising like a compressed sponge released. The ice sheet isn't static. It flows slowly from the interior toward the coast, moving at rates from a few meters to hundreds of meters per year, ultimately carving off as icebergs when it reaches the sea. The system exists in a delicate balance between accumulation from snowfall in the interior and loss from melting and calving at the edges. Currently, the ice sheet is losing mass faster than it's gaining, contributing to rising sea levels. Even small changes in this vast ice sheet have significant global impacts. The ice influences ocean circulation, reflects sunlight back to space, helping cool the planet, and locks away enough water to dramatically affect coastal regions worldwide. Scientists monitor the Antarctic ice sheet intensively, using satellites, ground-based measurements, and sophisticated computer models to understand how it's responding to warming temperatures and to predict future changes that will shape the world's coastlines for centuries to come. Frost flowers are delicate ice structures that form on new sea ice and are among nature's most ephemeral creations. These intricate formations appear when very cold air contacts recently frozen sea ice, typically within the first few days of ice formation. The process begins when water vapor escapes through tiny imperfections in the new ice, which isn't yet solid throughout. As this vapor meets the frigid air above, it instantly freezes, creating delicate ice structures that resemble flowers, with thin petals and elaborate formations. Frost flowers are extraordinarily fragile, often smaller than a fist, and can grow to heights of several centimeters. They typically last only a few days before winds destroy them or additional ice formation buries them. What makes frost flowers particularly interesting to scientists is their chemical composition. As sea ice forms, it rejects salt from the freezing water, concentrating it in brine. This salty brine can be wickered up into frost flowers, making them incredibly salty, sometimes 10 times saltier than seawater. This makes frost flowers important in Arctic chemistry. When winds eventually destroy them, they release salt and other chemicals into the atmosphere, where they can serve as nuclei for cloud formation and participate in atmospheric chemistry. Some scientists believe frost flowers may play a role in ozone depletion over polar regions. These delicate structures also concentrate organic material and microorganisms from the ocean, creating tiny, temporary ecosystems on the ice surface. Despite being known to science only since the 1990s, frost flowers are helping researchers understand complex interactions between ocean, ice, and atmosphere in polar regions. Shucks. Hibernation involves dramatic physiological changes far beyond simple sleep. While many people think of hibernation as a deep sleep, it's actually a profound metabolic transformation that allows animals to survive winter when food is scarce. During true hibernation, an animal's body temperature drops dramatically, sometimes to just above freezing. Heart rate slows from hundreds of beats per minute to just a few. Breathing becomes shallow and infrequent, with some hibernators taking only 1 or 2 breaths per minute. Metabolism slows to as little as 2% of normal rates. This isn't sustainable indefinitely, so hibernators periodically wake up for brief periods, warming their bodies, eliminating waste, and sometimes eating cached food before returning to hibernation. These arousal periods are energetically costly, using a significant portion of the fat reserves animals build up before winter. Ground squirrels, among the most studied hibernators, can spend 8 months of the year hibernating. During this time, they survive entirely on fat reserves, losing up to 40% of their body weight. Remarkably, hibernating animals don't suffer the muscle atrophy or bone density loss that would affect a non-hibernating animal remaining immobile for so long. Scientists are studying the mechanisms that protect hibernators from these effects, hoping to apply these insights to human medicine, particularly for conditions involving immobility or for long-duration space travel. Not all winter dormancy is true hibernation. Bears, for example, enter a state called torpor, where body temperature drops only slightly and they can wake relatively quickly. This distinction matters because the physiological challenges and adaptations differ significantly between deep hibernation and lighter torpor. The largest snowflake ever recorded was 15 inches wide and 8 inches thick, reported in Montana in 1887. This extraordinary claim comes from a first-hand account at Fort Keogh during a snowstorm, where witnesses reported snowflakes larger than milk pans. While impossible to verify and likely representing multiple snowflakes frozen together rather than a single crystal, the report highlights that snowflakes can grow remarkably large under specific conditions. Typically, snowflakes range from a few millimeters to about an inch across, but in narrow temperature ranges with high humidity, crystals can continue growing to unusual sizes. The ideal temperature for large snowflakes is right around freezing, where ice crystals can accumulate additional water vapor rapidly and clump together with other crystals. In these conditions, what we call a snowflake might actually be an aggregate of many individual ice crystals frozen together. The shape and size of snowflakes depend on the temperature and humidity of the air they form in. Different temperature ranges produce different crystal shapes. Between 27 and 32 degrees Fahrenheit, plates and stars form. Between 21 and 27 degrees, needles and columns grow. At temperatures below 21 degrees, plates and stars reappear. These transitions occur because the way water molecules attach to the growing crystal surface changes with temperature. Understanding these formation mechanisms helps meteorologists predict precipitation types and amounts. The intricate structures also continue to fascinate scientists studying crystal growth, symmetry, and the complex physics of phase transitions. Each winter, billions of snowflakes form, fall, and melt. Each one a tiny example of nature following physical laws to create unique beauty. The Greenland ice sheet is the second largest ice mass on Earth and is melting at an accelerating rate, covering approximately 660,000 square miles, about 80% of Greenland's surface. This ice sheet contains enough water to raise global sea levels by about 24 feet, if completely melted. Like Antarctica, Greenland's ice sheet is ancient, with ice near the base being more than 100,000 years old. The ice sheet reaches thicknesses of nearly 2 miles in places, and its immense weight has pressed the bedrock underneath into a bowl shape, with much of the land surface now below sea level. Recent decades have seen dramatic changes in Greenland's ice. Surface melting has increased, with meltwater flowing into streams and rivers across the ice surface during summer months. More concerning, this meltwater sometimes drains to the ice sheet's base through vertical shafts called moulins, lubricating the interface between ice and bedrock and potentially accelerating ice flow toward the ocean. Around Greenland's edges, tidewater glaciers that reach the sea are carving massive icebergs at increasing rates. Some outlet glaciers have doubled their flow speed in just a few years, responding to complex interactions between ice, ocean water, and atmospheric warming. Scientists use a variety of tools to monitor these changes, including GPS stations installed on the ice to measure movement, satellites that measure ice elevation and gravity changes, and ice-penetrating radar to map bedrock topography. The data show that Greenland is currently losing about 280 billion tons of ice per year, contributing significantly to sea level rise. This loss isn't uniform, with some regions changing much faster than others, and understanding these regional differences is crucial for predicting future changes. Thundersnow is a rare phenomenon where thunder and lightning occur during a snowstorm instead of rain. This unusual event happens when atmospheric conditions create strong updrafts within snow clouds, similar to those in summer thunderstorms, but in a winter setting. The strong updrafts needed for thunderstorm formation are less common in winter because cold air can't hold as much moisture and energy as warm air. When thundersnow does occur, it's typically associated with very intense snowfall rates, often producing several inches of snow per hour. The thunder from thundersnow often sounds different than summer thunder, muffled and shorter ranged because snow in the air dampens sound. People experiencing thundersnow sometimes report hearing the thunder as a dull rumble rather than a sharp crack. Lightning during snowstorms can be particularly dangerous because it's unexpected, and people may not take the same precautions they would during a summer thunderstorm. Meteorologists get excited about thundersnow because it indicates an exceptionally strong winter storm. The conditions that produce it, typically a sharp temperature contrast, strong uplift, and abundant moisture, also produce heavy snow and sometimes blizzard conditions. Thundersnow occurs most frequently near large bodies of water, like the Great Lakes, where cold air masses moving over relatively warm water create instability. It can also happen when powerful winter storms rapidly intensify, a process called bombogenesis or explosive cyclogenesis, where the storm's central pressure drops dramatically in a short period. Forecasting thundersnow is challenging because the specific conditions required occur in a narrow range. When it does happen, it creates an eerie, apocalyptic atmosphere that many find both beautiful and unsettling. Ice hotels and snow architecture demonstrate winter's creative possibilities, built entirely from ice and snow. The most famous ice hotel, in Jukkasjärvi, Sweden, has been constructed every winter since 1990 and melts completely each spring. Building such structures requires careful engineering and artistic vision. Builders use a mixture of snow and ice called snice, which is stronger than either snow or ice alone. They spray water and snow in layers, allowing each layer to freeze before adding the next, gradually building up walls and sculptural elements. Artists from around the world create elaborate ice sculptures, frozen chandeliers, and detailed architectural features. The interior temperature is maintained between 23 and 27 degrees Fahrenheit, cold enough to preserve the structure, but warm enough to be survivable with proper gear. Guests sleep in thermal sleeping bags on beds made of ice, covered with reindeer hides and mattresses. The experience is surreal. Walking through corridors of translucent ice, lit with colored lights. Sleeping in a room whose walls might depict frozen forests or abstract designs. These structures are engineering marvels, requiring understanding of ice's structural properties. Ice is surprisingly strong in compression, but weak in tension, so designs must account for these properties. The buildings typically include steel or wooden frameworks for support, particularly for larger spans. Ice hotels have inspired similar structures worldwide, from ice bars and restaurants to ice slides and mazes. They represent winter's transformation from obstacle to opportunity, using the season's most abundant material as both medium and message. When spring arrives and these frozen palaces melt back into water, they leave no permanent trace, making them among the most ephemeral architecture humans create. Permafrost, permanently frozen ground, covers about 24% of land in the northern hemisphere and is now thawing. This frozen soil, rock, and organic material has remained frozen for at least 2 consecutive years, with some permafrost being hundreds of thousands of years old. In some locations, permafrost extends hundreds of feet deep. The active layer, the soil above permafrost that thaws each summer and refreezes each winter, varies from a few inches to several feet thick, depending on location and climate. Permafrost shapes entire landscapes, affecting everything from plant communities to building construction in Arctic regions. Buildings, roads, and infrastructure in permafrost regions must be specially designed to prevent their heat from thawing the ground beneath, which can cause catastrophic structural failure. As global temperatures rise, permafrost is thawing at alarming rates across the Arctic. This thawing creates multiple serious concerns. First, permafrost contains enormous amounts of organic carbon, dead plant, and animal material that has been frozen for millennia. When permafrost thaws, microorganisms begin decomposing this organic matter, releasing carbon dioxide and methane, potent greenhouse gases, into the atmosphere. Scientists estimate permafrost holds nearly twice as much carbon as currently exists in Earth's atmosphere. Second, thawing permafrost destabilizes ground, creating a landscape of collapse features called thermokarst, which damage infrastructure and alter ecosystems. Third, permafrost has preserved ancient microorganisms, and there's concern that thawing could release bacteria and viruses that modern organisms have no resistance to. Monitoring permafrost is challenging because much of it lies in remote regions, but satellite observations combined with ground measurements show widespread thawing, creating a feedback loop where thawing releases greenhouse gases that cause more warming that causes more thawing. Winter solstice, the shortest day of the year, has been celebrated by cultures worldwide for millennia. In the Northern Hemisphere, this occurs around December 21st, when Earth's North Pole is tilted farthest from the Sun. At this moment, the Sun reaches its lowest point in the sky at noon, and daylight hours are at their minimum. At the Arctic Circle, the Sun doesn't rise above the horizon at all, while at the Antarctic Circle, there's 24 hours of daylight. For ancient peoples without modern calendars or artificial light, winter solstice held profound significance. It marked the point when days would begin lengthening again, a promise that winter's darkness would eventually yield to spring's return. Cultures created elaborate rituals and monuments to mark the solstice. Stonehenge in England aligns with the winter solstice sunset, while Newgrange in Ireland is designed so that sunrise on winter solstice illuminates its inner chamber. These monuments, built thousands of years ago, demonstrate sophisticated astronomical knowledge and the importance placed on solar cycles. Modern celebrations continue these ancient traditions. Scandinavian countries celebrate St. Lucia's Day, a festival of lights during the darkest part of winter. Many Christmas traditions, including evergreen decorations and Yule logs, have roots in winter solstice celebrations of life persisting through winter's darkness. The solstice reminds us that seasons are caused by Earth's axial tilt, not its distance from the sun. Ironically, Earth is actually closest to the sun in early January, during Northern Hemisphere winter. The changing seasons result from the angle at which sunlight strikes Earth's surface, with winter's low angle spreading the same amount of energy over a larger area, reducing its warming effect. Glaciers flow like very slow rivers, moving under their own weight through a process called glacial creep. These massive ice formations, found in polar regions and high mountains worldwide, might appear static, but they're constantly in motion. The movement occurs through several mechanisms. Ice deep within a glacier experiences enormous pressure from the weight of ice above, which causes it to deform and flow, even though ice is a solid. This happens because under sustained pressure, ice behaves as a plastic material, flowing like extremely thick honey. Individual ice crystals slip past each other along internal planes, and the cumulative effect of billions of these tiny movements creates bulk ice flow. The rate varies dramatically. Some glaciers move only inches per year, while others flow several feet per day. The fastest moving glacier is Jakobshavn Glacier in Greenland, which has been measured moving up to 150 feet per day during peak flow. Flow rates depend on the glacier's thickness, slope, temperature, and the presence of meltwater at its base. Meltwater can act as a lubricant, allowing the glacier to slide more easily over bedrock. As glaciers flow, they carve landscapes, grinding away bedrock and carrying massive amounts of rock and sediment. This erosive power has shaped many of Earth's most dramatic landscapes. Yosemite Valley, the fjords of Norway, and the lakes of Minnesota all owe their existence to glacial action. The sediment carried by glaciers, eventually deposited as moraines and outwash plains, creates fertile soils. Studying glacier flow helps scientists understand past ice ages and predict future changes as glaciers worldwide retreat in response to warming temperatures. Hoarfrost creates delicate ice crystals that form directly from water vapor without going through a liquid phase. This process, called deposition, is the reverse of sublimation and creates some of winter's most beautiful and intricate ice formations. Hoarfrost typically forms on cold, clear nights when surfaces cool below the dew point and below freezing simultaneously. Water vapor in the air comes into contact with these cold surfaces and transitions directly to ice, bypassing the liquid phase entirely. The crystals grow outward from surfaces, creating feathery, fern-like patterns that seem to defy gravity. Each crystal is a work of art, with elaborate branches and sub-branches that catch light beautifully. Hoarfrost differs from regular frost, which typically forms when dew freezes, creating smoother, less elaborate ice coatings. The delicate structure of hoarfrost makes it particularly fragile. A slight rise in temperature, touch, or even a gentle breeze can cause it to collapse or sublimate, the ice turning directly back to water vapor without melting. This ephemeral quality adds to its beauty. A landscape transformed overnight by hoarfrost can return to normal within hours of sunrise. The phenomenon creates stunning scenes, coating everything from grass blades to spider webs to bare tree branches in intricate ice crystal structures. Photographers prize hoarfrost for the magical quality it lends to winter landscapes. The crystals are particularly spectacular when backlit, glowing with transmitted light. Hoarfrost forms most commonly in areas with calm, clear conditions and sufficient moisture in the air, such as near rivers or lakes, in valleys where cold air settles, or in regions with high humidity. Understanding hoarfrost formation helps meteorologists predict frost damage to crops and assists in weather forecasting. The ptarmigan is a remarkable bird that changes its plumage with the seasons, growing white feathers in winter. These chicken-sized birds live in Arctic and alpine tundra regions, where seasonal camouflage is essential for survival. During summer, ptarmigans sport mottled brown, grey, and white feathers that blend perfectly with rocks, vegetation, and patches of lingering snow. As autumn approaches and day length decreases, hormonal changes trigger a complete molt. New white feathers gradually replace the brown ones, transforming the bird over several weeks. By winter, ptarmigans are nearly pure white, except for dark tail feathers, and, in males, a distinctive red comb above the eye. This transformation provides camouflage against snowy landscapes, protecting them from predators like foxes, owls, and eagles. But the ptarmigan's winter adaptations go far beyond color change. They grow dense feather coverage on their legs and feet, creating natural snowshoes that help them walk on soft snow and provide insulation against cold. Their feet are so thoroughly feathered that they resemble furry mammal paws more than bird feet. Ptarmigans also possess an unusual adaptation for extracting nutrition from their winter diet of willow and birch buds and twigs. They have extremely long intestinal tracts for birds of their size, allowing them to digest tough plant material that most birds cannot eat. In the harshest winter conditions, ptarmigans burrow into snowbanks, creating chambers where they roost protected from wind and extreme cold. The snow's insulating properties can keep these chambers significantly warmer than outside air. When spring returns, the birds molt again, shedding white feathers and revealing brown summer plumage beneath, perpetually staying in sync with their environment's changing appearance. Ice cores provide climate records extending back 800,000 years, offering unprecedented insight into Earth's climate history. Scientists drill these cores from ice sheets in Antarctica and Greenland, extracting cylinders of ice that represent hundreds of thousands of years of accumulated snowfall. The deepest ice core yet retrieved extends over 2 miles down. Each layer of ice in these cores represents a single year's snowfall, creating annual rings similar to tree rings, but made of ice. By counting these layers, scientists can date the ice precisely. Trapped within the ice are tiny air bubbles, essentially samples of ancient atmosphere preserved unchanged for millennia. Analyzing these bubbles reveals the exact composition of the atmosphere when the ice formed, including levels of carbon dioxide, methane, and other gases. Isotopic analysis of the ice itself reveals temperature information. The ratio of different oxygen isotopes in water molecules changes with temperature, So measuring these ratios tells scientists how warm or cold it was when the snow fell. Dust particles, volcanic ash, and chemical signatures in the ice provide additional information about volcanic eruptions, desert dust storms, sea spray, and even nearby forest fires from hundreds of thousands of years ago. The data from ice cores have revolutionized climate science, revealing patterns of ice ages and warm periods, showing tight correlations between greenhouse gas concentrations and temperature, and providing context for current climate change. The cores show that current carbon dioxide levels are higher than at any point in the past 800,000 years. They also reveal that climate can change remarkably quickly, with some transitions from ice age to warm period occurring over just decades rather than the gradual shifts scientists once assumed. Blizzards are defined not by snowfall amount, but by wind speed and visibility. A blizzard, in meteorological terms, requires sustained winds or frequent gusts of at least 35 miles per hour, visibility reduced to less than a quarter mile, by falling or blowing snow, and these conditions lasting for at least 3 hours. Notably, this definition doesn't specify any minimum snowfall. A blizzard can occur with relatively light snow if strong winds blow existing snow around, creating whiteout conditions. These ground blizzards can be just as dangerous as blizzards with heavy snowfall. The combination of wind, cold, and blowing snow creates hazardous and sometimes deadly conditions. Wind chill can plummet to life-threatening levels. Visibility can drop to zero in seconds, and disorientation becomes a serious risk even in familiar areas. People have died just feet from shelter because they became disoriented in whiteout conditions. The strongest blizzards, sometimes called severe blizzards or super blizzards, have winds exceeding 45 miles per hour, near zero visibility, and temperatures below 10 degrees Fahrenheit. These storms can produce snowdrifts dozens of feet high, bury vehicles and buildings, and create conditions where going outside is immediately life-threatening. Historic blizzards have shaped communities and changed history. The Great Blizzard of 1880 paralyzed the eastern United States, burying New York City under 4-foot drifts and killing over 400 people. This storm led to the creation of underground subway systems in several cities. Modern forecasting has improved blizzard warnings, but these storms remain dangerous. The key to survival is preparation, seeking shelter immediately when blizzard warnings are issued, and never attempting to travel through blizzard conditions. The disorienting power of blowing snow in high winds cannot be overstated. The snowy owl is one of the largest owl species and breeds in the Arctic tundra during the brief polar summer. Unlike most owls that are nocturnal, snowy owls hunt during daylight, an adaptation to Arctic regions where summer brings 24-hour daylight. These magnificent white birds, with males being nearly pure white and females showing dark barring, are perfectly adapted to life in one of Earth's harshest environments. Their thick plumage provides exceptional insulation, with feathers covering even their legs and toes, creating the appearance of wearing furry boots. This feathering is so dense that snowy owls can maintain body temperature in conditions reaching -50 degrees Fahrenheit. In winter, some snowy owls remain in the Arctic, but many migrate south, sometimes appearing as far south as the southern United States, in years when Arctic lemming populations crash. These eruptions, as they're called, bring dozens or even hundreds of snowy owls to areas where they're rarely seen, delighting birdwatchers. Snowy owls are formidable hunters with excellent vision and hearing. They primarily hunt lemmings in the Arctic, and a single owl can eat over 1,800 lemmings per year. Their hunting success depends on lemming population cycles, which fluctuate dramatically. In peak lemming years, snowy owls may successfully raise large clutches of 7 or more chicks. In poor years, they may not breed at all. The owls nest on the ground on elevated hummocks or rocks that provide good visibility. Males are fiercely protective of nests, driving away Arctic foxes, wolves, and even humans who venture too close. Climate change is affecting snowy owls, as warming temperatures alter lemming habitats and cycles, change vegetation patterns that lemmings depend on, and reduce snow cover that provides protection for lemming tunnels. Ice formation on lakes follows a predictable pattern, creating distinct ice types that ice fishers and skaters learn to recognize. The clearest, strongest ice is black ice, or clear ice, which forms when lakes freeze quickly in calm, cold conditions. This ice is transparent enough to see through to the water below, giving it a dark appearance. It's the strongest ice relative to its thickness. White ice forms when snow falls on black ice and melts partially before refreezing, or when ice forms during windy, turbulent conditions. The trapped air bubbles and impurities make it opaque and weaker than black ice. Snow ice forms when the weight of snow on ice pushes the ice below the waterline, allowing water to seep up through cracks and saturate the snow layer, which then freezes. This ice is weak and unreliable. Safe ice thickness guidelines exist, but ice thickness can vary dramatically across a lake. Springs, currents, dissolved minerals, and variations in depth all affect ice formation. Generally, 4 inches of clear ice is considered the minimum safe thickness for ice fishing on foot, while over a foot of ice is needed for vehicles. However, these are general guidelines, and conditions vary. Ice never freezes uniformly, and dangerous thin spots can exist near inlets, outlets, pressure ridges, and areas of moving water. As winter progresses, ice thickens through a combination of surface freezing and bottom freezing, where water at the ice-water interface freezes. Ice can also thaw from the top and bottom simultaneously in spring, sometimes creating dangerous situations where thick-looking ice has rotted and turned to vertical crystals called candling, which offer little strength. Understanding ice formation and characteristics is essential for safely enjoying winter activities and has saved countless lives. The caribou undertake one of the longest land migrations on Earth, traveling over 3,000 miles annually. These remarkable journeys connect calving grounds in the Arctic tundra with winter range in the boreal forest, following routes that caribou have used for thousands of years. In spring, pregnant females lead the migration northward to traditional calving grounds, traveling up to 35 miles per day. They time their arrival, so calves are born during a brief window when vegetation is beginning to emerge and before the peak of insect harassment. The calving grounds provide relatively predator-free environments and abundant food for nursing mothers. Within hours of birth, caribou calves can run, an essential adaptation given the need to keep moving. After calving, the herds continue to move, following the greening vegetation northward and sideways, accessing fresh plant growth while avoiding areas where insects are most intense. As autumn approaches, caribou begin moving southward toward winter range in the boreal forest, where they'll spend the dark months feeding on lichens they dig out from under the snow using their broad hooves. These migrations require crossing major rivers, navigating mountain passes, and traversing landscapes increasingly fragmented by human development. The porcupine caribou herd, one of the largest, numbers around 200,000 individuals, and witnessing their migration is one of nature's great spectacles. Caribou migrations are increasingly threatened by climate change, altering the timing of plant growth, industrial development blocking traditional routes, and changing predator-prey dynamics. Some populations have declined dramatically. These animals' epic journeys connect ecosystems across vast landscapes, transferring nutrients from winter to summer ranges, and supporting predator populations including wolves, bears, and eagles that depend on caribou at different points in their life cycles. Rime ice forms when supercooled water droplets freeze instantly on contact with surfaces, creating fantastic ice formations. Supercooled water exists in liquid form below freezing temperature, a metastable state that ends the moment the water contacts any solid surface. When supercooled fog or cloud droplets driven by wind strike objects like trees, towers, or mountain ridges, they freeze instantly, building up layers of white, opaque ice. Unlike glaze ice, which forms from freezing rain and appears smooth and transparent, rime ice has a rough, crystalline structure, with air trapped between frozen droplets, giving it a white color. The ice builds up on the windward side of objects, creating otherworldly formations. Trees can become completely encased in thick layers of rime, their branches transformed into massive ice sculptures. Mountain summit towers and weather stations can accumulate rime ice several feet thick, extending horizontally from the structures in the direction of the prevailing wind. These formations, sometimes called ice feathers, can grow to remarkable sizes, creating gravity-defying spikes and ridges that seem to extend into space. Rime ice is particularly common at high elevations, where temperatures remain below freezing and clouds frequently envelop the landscape, and in coastal areas where cold temperatures combine with sea fog. The weight of accumulated rime ice can break tree branches and damage structures. Power lines are particularly vulnerable, as thick rime accumulation can cause lines to snap. For hikers and climbers, heavy rime ice on trails and rocks creates treacherous conditions and can make navigation difficult, as familiar landmarks become unrecognizable under their ice coating. Despite these hazards, rime ice creates some of winter's most spectacular and surreal landscapes, transforming ordinary objects into abstract frozen sculptures. The concept of winter varies dramatically depending on location, with some places experiencing winter unlike anything we typically imagine. In tropical regions near the equator, winter is a season not of cold, but of changes in rainfall, marking dry seasons rather than frozen ones. In the Arctic and Antarctic, winter brings months of continuous darkness. The polar night, where the sun doesn't rise above the horizon for weeks or months, depending on latitude. At the poles themselves, one single night lasts roughly 6 months. These extreme winters challenge life in unique ways. Without sunlight, photosynthesis stops completely, disrupting the base of food webs. Temperatures can drop to levels incompatible with most life. In contrast, some regions have no true winter at all, maintaining warm temperatures and growing seasons year-round. The varying experiences of winter result from Earth's axial tilt and its orbit around the Sun. When the northern hemisphere tilts away from the Sun, it experiences winter, while the southern hemisphere enjoys summer. The tilt creates more extreme seasonal contrasts at higher latitudes. At 60 degrees north latitude, winter daylight might last only 6 hours, while summer daylight extends over 18 hours. This affects more than just temperature. The changing day length influences plant growth cycles, animal behaviors, and even human physiology and psychology. Seasonal affective disorder affects millions of people in northern latitudes, where winter's short days and reduced sunlight can trigger depression. Understanding these varied winter experiences reminds us that seasons are not universal experiences, but local phenomena shaped by planetary mechanics, latitude, altitude, and proximity to oceans, creating a mosaic of winter conditions across our planet. Ski resorts can make artificial snow using snow guns that combine water and compressed air. This technology has transformed winter sports, allowing skiing to exist in marginal climates and extending seasons at resorts worldwide. The process mimics natural snowflake formation, but on a compressed timeline. Water and compressed air mix in the snow gun, where the sudden expansion and evaporation of water droplets cools the mixture. If ambient temperature and humidity are right, the microscopic ice formation on lakes follows a predictable pattern, creating distinct ice types that ice fishers and skaters learn to recognize. The clearest, strongest ice is black ice, or clear ice, which forms when lakes freeze quickly in calm, cold conditions. This ice is transparent enough to see through to the water below, giving it a dark appearance. It's the strongest ice relative to its thickness. White ice forms when snow falls on black ice and melts partially before refreezing, or when ice forms during windy, turbulent conditions. The trapped air bubbles and impurities make it opaque and weaker than black ice. Snow ice forms when the weight of snow on ice pushes the ice below the waterline, allowing water to seep up through cracks and saturate the snow layer, which then freezes. This ice is weak and unreliable. Safe ice thickness guidelines exist, but ice thickness can vary dramatically across a lake. Springs, currents, dissolved minerals, and variations in depth all affect ice formation. Generally, 4 inches of clear ice is considered the minimum safe thickness for ice fishing on foot, while over a foot of ice is needed for vehicles. However, these are general guidelines, and conditions vary. Ice never freezes uniformly, and dangerous thin spots can exist near inlets, outlets, pressure ridges, and areas of moving water. As winter progresses, ice thickens through a combination of surface freezing and bottom freezing, where water at the ice-water interface freezes. Ice can also thaw from the top and bottom simultaneously in spring, sometimes creating dangerous situations where thick-looking ice has rotted and turned to vertical crystals called candling, which offer little strength. Understanding ice formation and characteristics is essential for safely enjoying winter activities and has saved countless lives. The caribou undertake one of the longest land migrations on Earth, traveling over 3,000 miles annually. These remarkable journeys connect calving grounds in the Arctic tundra with winter range in the boreal forest, following routes that caribou have used for thousands of years. In spring, pregnant females lead the migration northward to traditional calving grounds, traveling up to 35 miles per day. They time their arrival, so calves are born during a brief window when vegetation is beginning to emerge, and before the peak of insect harassment. The calving grounds provide relatively predator-free environments and abundant food for nursing mothers. Within hours of birth, caribou calves can run, an essential adaptation given the need to keep moving. After calving, the herds continue to move, following the greening vegetation northward and sideways, accessing fresh plant growth while avoiding areas where insects are most intense. As autumn approaches, caribou begin moving southward toward winter range in the boreal forest, where they'll spend the dark months feeding on lichens they dig out from under the snow using their broad hooves. These migrations require crossing major rivers, navigating mountain passes, and traversing landscapes increasingly fragmented by human development. The porcupine caribou herd, one of the largest, numbers around 200,000 individuals. The Arctic tern completes the longest migration of any animal, traveling roughly 44,000 miles annually. This remarkable bird experiences more daylight than any other creature, seeing 2 summers each year by migrating from Arctic breeding grounds to Antarctic waters and back. Arctic terns weigh only about 4 ounces, yet these delicate birds navigate across vast oceans with astonishing precision. They depart Arctic breeding areas in August as northern summer ends, embarking on a journey that takes them down the coasts of North and South America, or along European and African coasts, eventually reaching Antarctic waters by November, when Antarctic summer is beginning. After feeding in Antarctic waters for several months, they journey back north, completing the round trip in time to breed in the Arctic again. Over a 30-year lifespan, an Arctic tern might travel over 1.5 million miles, equivalent to flying to the moon and back 3 times. The birds navigate using multiple cues, including the sun's position, stars, Earth's magnetic field, visual landmarks along coastlines, and possibly even smell and infrasound. During migration, they take advantage of prevailing winds and ocean currents, sometimes detouring thousands of miles to catch favorable conditions. The terns feed along the way, plunge diving for small fish and krill, taking advantage of productive waters at different latitudes as they move. This migration strategy allows them to exploit abundant food resources in polar summers while avoiding harsh polar winters. Climate change is affecting Arctic terns as sea ice patterns shift, ocean temperatures change, and fish populations redistribute. Some tern colonies have experienced breeding failures as fish species they depend on have moved to different areas or changed their timing, highlighting how even the world's greatest long-distance travelers are vulnerable to rapid environmental change. Ice fishing is both recreation and survival strategy, practiced for thousands of years by people in frozen regions worldwide. The technique involves cutting holes through ice, covering frozen lakes, rivers or bays, and fishing through these holes. Modern ice fishers use power augers to drill holes, portable shelters to protect from wind and cold, and sophisticated electronics to locate fish beneath the ice. But the basic concept remains unchanged from ancient practices. Winter changes fish behavior dramatically. In frozen lakes, fish typically move to deeper water, where temperatures are most stable, usually around 39 degrees Fahrenheit, the temperature at which water is densest. They also become less active in cold water, requiring less food and moving more slowly. Ice fishers adapt techniques accordingly, using smaller bait and slower presentations. Some fish species are particularly active under ice, including perch, walleye, northern pike, and various trout species, making them prime targets. The sport involves unique challenges and dangers. Ice thickness must be adequate for safety, requiring constant monitoring as conditions change. Anglers risk falling through thin ice, hypothermia if they do fall in, and carbon monoxide poisoning if using heaters in enclosed shelters. Despite these risks, ice fishing is immensely popular, combining the meditative aspects of fishing with the unique winter environment. In some cultures, ice fishing is vital for food security during winter months, when other food sources are scarce. Modern ice fishing tournaments draw thousands of participants and offer substantial prizes. The activity also has ecological importance, as ice fishing provides data on fish populations and winter ecology in frozen lakes. The practice connects modern participants to ancient traditions, while offering unique access to the underwater world during winter's frozen grip. The thermocline is a distinct layer in water bodies where temperature changes more rapidly with depth than in layers above or below. In winter, ice-covered lakes develop inverse stratification, where the coldest water is at the top as ice. Water just below the ice is near freezing, and deeper water is warmer, approaching 39 degrees Fahrenheit at the bottom. This pattern is opposite to summer stratification, and the transition periods create turnover events crucial for lake ecology. Turnover occurs twice yearly in many temperate lakes: in spring when ice melts, and in fall when surface water cools. During turnover, temperature differences that maintained separate water layers disappear, allowing wind and thermal currents to mix the entire water column. This mixing circulates oxygen from the surface to depth and brings nutrients from bottom sediments toward the surface. These nutrients support explosive plankton growth when sunlight increases, beginning the annual cycle that sustains the entire aquatic food web. Winter stratification in ice-covered lakes creates unique challenges for aquatic life. The ice blocks oxygen exchange with the atmosphere, and if snow covers the ice, sunlight can't penetrate for photosynthesis by aquatic plants and algae, preventing oxygen production. In shallow, productive lakes with substantial organic matter, oxygen depletion can become severe, creating winter kill events where fish and other organisms die from suffocation. Winter kill is more common in shallow lakes with long winters and heavy snow cover. Fish species vary in their tolerance for low oxygen, with some like northern pike and trout requiring higher levels, while species like bullheads and carp can survive in oxygen-poor conditions. Understanding winter lake dynamics is essential for fisheries management and predicting how climate change, which is reducing ice cover duration and thickness, will affect lake ecosystems. Snow rollers are rare natural phenomena where cylindrical snow formations roll across the ground without human intervention. These hollow cylinders of snow form when specific conditions align. A layer of fresh, wet, sticky snow on a slick surface like ice or crusted snow, strong winds, and temperatures near freezing. When wind blows across this snow, it sometimes catches a small chunk and begins rolling it across the surface. As the snow rolls, it picks up more snow, growing larger, while the center often collapses from its own weight or blows away, creating a hollow cylinder. Snow rollers range from a few inches to over 2 feet in diameter, creating fields of what look like giant rolled-up carpets or hay bales made of snow. They're typically found in open areas, where wind can build speed, such as fields frozen lakes, or gentle slopes. Hills provide ideal conditions, with gravity assisting the wind in moving snow downslope. The phenomenon is rare because it requires such specific conditions. The snow must be wet enough to stick together, but not so wet that it simply clumps. The underlying surface must be slippery enough for the snow to slide, but not so icy that wind can't initiate movement. Wind must be strong enough to move the snow, but not so strong that it simply blows the snow apart. When all conditions align, the results are spectacular. Fields of dozens or even hundreds of snow rollers appear overnight, creating otherworldly landscapes that look almost deliberately arranged. The formations are fragile, typically lasting only until temperature changes, melt them, or more snow buries them. Photographs of snow roller fields often provoke disbelief, as the formations look almost too perfect to be natural. Yet they represent another example of winter's capacity to create unexpected beauty through simple physics. The muskox is a shaggy Arctic mammal that survived the last ice age and lives in some of Earth's coldest regions. These stocky animals, despite their name and appearance, are more closely related to sheep and goats than to cattle. They're superbly adapted to Arctic conditions, with adaptations refined over millions of years. Their most obvious adaptation is their coat. Musk oxen grow 2 layers of fur. The outer guard hairs are long and coarse, reaching nearly to the ground and providing protection from wind and precipitation. Beneath this, a dense undercoat called chivyot provides extraordinary insulation. Chivyot is one of the warmest natural fibers known, warmer than sheep's wool and softer than cashmere. It's so effective that musk oxen can maintain body temperature in temperatures below -40 degrees. The animals shed this undercoat in summer, and indigenous people collect it to spin into incredibly warm yarn. Musk oxen have behavioral adaptations equally important as their physical ones. When threatened by wolves, their main predator, musk oxen, form defensive circles with adults facing outward and calves protected in the center. This formation, while effective against wolves, made them vulnerable to human hunters with guns, contributing to their near extinction in some areas. Conservation efforts have restored populations in many regions. Musk oxen feed on whatever vegetation they can find, using their hooves to dig through snow to reach frozen grasses and willows. They have specially adapted digestive systems to extract maximum nutrition from poor quality forage. As climate change warms the Arctic, musk oxen face new challenges. Warmer, wetter winters can create ice layers that prevent them from reaching food, leading to starvation events. These ancient survivors of the Ice Age now face an uncertain future in a rapidly warming Arctic. Chinook winds are warm, dry winds that descend the eastern slopes of the Rocky Mountains, capable of raising temperatures dramatically in just hours. The name comes from the Chinook people of the Pacific Northwest, and the phenomenon is also called snow eaters for their ability to melt deep snow rapidly. Chinook winds form when moist Pacific air crosses mountain ranges. As air rises up the western slopes, it cools and loses moisture as precipitation. When this now dry air descends the eastern slopes, it compresses and warms at a faster rate than it cooled climbing the mountains, a process called adiabatic warming. The result can be dramatic temperature increases. Temperature rises of 40 or 50 degrees Fahrenheit in a few hours are not uncommon. The record is held by Spearfish, South Dakota, where temperature rose from -4 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit in just 2 minutes in 1943. These rapid warmings can melt heavy snow cover in hours or days, creating both benefits and problems. Livestock exposed on winter range benefit from suddenly mild conditions and exposed grass. Communities appreciate breaks from severe cold. However, the rapid melting can cause flooding, and ice-covered roads become treacherous as ice layers melt and refreeze. The winds themselves can be destructive, with gusts exceeding 100 miles per hour. The sudden warmth feels almost surreal to people experiencing it, with temperatures comfortable enough for shorts and t-shirts, while piles of snow still surround them. Chinooks also affect health and mood. Some people report headaches, called Chinook headaches, attributed to rapid pressure changes. The winds are celebrated in folklore and culture across the Rocky Mountain region, appearing in countless stories as both blessing and curse, a reminder of nature's power to transform landscapes and conditions with startling speed. Snow metamorphism is the process by which snow changes after it falls, undergoing transformations that dramatically affect its properties. Fresh snow is composed of delicate, branched crystals with lots of airspace between them, making it light and fluffy. But snow immediately begins changing once it lands. The delicate points and branches sublime, with water molecules leaving the crystal and redepositing in more stable locations. Sharp features disappear, and crystals become rounded. This process, called destructive metamorphism, makes snow denser and more cohesive. Temperature gradient metamorphism occurs when temperature differences exist within the snowpack, typically with warmer snow near the ground and colder snow at the surface. Water vapor moves from warm to cold areas, creating faceted crystals called depth hoar. These weak, sugary crystals don't bond well with surrounding snow, creating unstable layers that can cause avalanches. Melt-freeze metamorphism happens when snow melts partially and refreezes, creating larger, rounded grains and eventually forming névé and then glacial ice. Understanding snow metamorphism is crucial for avalanche forecasting. Weak layers created by metamorphism can persist for months, buried under subsequent snowfall and creating dangerous conditions. Avalanche forecasters dig snow pits to examine the snowpack structure, looking for weak layers and testing bond strength between layers. The same metamorphic processes that create avalanche hazards also affect snow's other properties, including its insulating ability, water content, and how it reflects light. Scientists studying glacier formation, climate records in ice cores, and polar ecology all need to understand how snow transforms. What seems like simple frozen water is actually a dynamic material constantly changing in response to temperature, pressure, and time, creating complex layers with varying properties that determine how the snowpack behaves and what it preserves. The narwhal, often called the unicorn of the sea, is an Arctic whale famous for its long, spiral tusk. This tusk is actually an elongated canine tooth, and males typically have one tusk, though some have two, and females rarely grow visible tusks. The tusk can reach over 10 feet long and weigh up to 20 pounds, growing in a counterclockwise spiral with remarkable symmetry. For centuries, the tusk's purpose puzzled scientists. Theories ranged from ice-breaking tool to weapon to sexual display. Recent research reveals the tusk is actually a sensory organ containing millions of nerve endings. The narwhal uses it to detect changes in water temperature, salinity, and pressure. gathering environmental information crucial for survival in changing Arctic conditions. The tusk may also play roles in communication and male-to-male competition, as males sometimes cross tusks in displays called tusking. Narwhals are medium-sized whales, typically 13 to 18 feet long and weighing up to 3,500 pounds. They're well adapted to Arctic life, lacking a dorsal fin, which would be vulnerable to ice damage, instead having a low dorsal ridge. They're deep divers, descending over 5,000 feet to feed on Greenland halibut, polar cod, and squid, and can hold their breath for up to 25 minutes. Narwhals are among the most ice-adapted whales, spending winters in dense pack ice with only narrow breathing holes. This specialization makes them particularly vulnerable to climate change. As ice patterns change and human activity increases in newly ice-free Arctic waters, narwhals face mounting pressures. Indigenous Inuit people have hunted narwhals sustainably for thousands of years, valuing the meat and the tusk, which was traded to Europe, where it was sometimes sold as unicorn horn for fantastic prices. These remarkable whales remind us how much we still have to learn about Arctic ecology, and how much we stand to lose if we don't protect these unique ecosystems. Snow droughts occur when winter snowfall is significantly below normal, creating water supply problems even in regions with adequate annual precipitation. In mountains that rely on snowpack to provide summer water, snow drought can be more serious than overall precipitation deficits. Snow acts as natural reservoir, accumulating throughout winter and releasing water gradually through spring and summer as it melts. When snowpack is below normal, less water is stored, and what snow exists melts faster, changing timing and volume of runoff. Regions that depend on snowmelt, including much of the western United States, face serious consequences from snow drought. Agriculture suffers as irrigation water becomes scarce. Hydroelectric production declines with reduced stream flow. Fish and wildlife, dependent on specific flow regimes, experience stress. Cities that rely on mountain snowpack for drinking water must implement conservation measures. Wildfire risk increases as forests and grasslands become drier earlier in summer. Snow droughts are becoming more frequent in many regions as climate change warms winter temperatures. Even when precipitation remains adequate, more falls as rain rather than snow, and snow that does accumulate melts earlier. This shift has profound implications for water management systems designed around historical snow patterns. Some regions are investing in reservoirs to capture winter rain that previously would have been stored as snow. Others are implementing aggressive water conservation and exploring alternative water sources. The challenge is particularly acute because snow drought can be hard to predict. Unlike meteorological drought, which forecasters can often see developing in long-range weather patterns, snow drought can develop quickly if winter temperatures stay slightly too warm, causing precipitation to fall as rain. The phenomenon highlights how climate change creates problems not just through overall warming, but through subtle shifts in the timing and form of precipitation, with cascading effects through interconnected natural and human systems. The ice moon, also called a wolf moon or old moon, is the full moon occurring in January. Various cultures name full moons for seasonal activities or natural phenomena, and winter moons often reference the harsh conditions. January's ice moon acknowledged the frozen conditions dominating much of the northern hemisphere. Other names for this moon included hunger moon, reflecting food scarcity during deep winter, and storm moon for the severe weather common in January. The practice of naming moons helped people without written calendars track seasons and plan activities. These names, primarily from Native American, Celtic, and Anglo-Saxon traditions, connected celestial cycles to earthbound realities. Full moons in winter have particular properties that differ from other seasons. Winter full moons ride high in the night sky because winter sun rides low, and the full moon, opposite the sun, takes the summer sun's path. This high trajectory, combined with cold, clear winter air, makes winter full moons appear particularly bright. Light reflecting off snow amplifies this effect, creating luminous nights where landscapes glow almost as if under daylight. These bright winter nights allowed extended travel and activity even before artificial light. The moon's light reflecting off snow provides enough illumination to see clearly, a phenomenon that shaped human winter activity for millennia. Modern research has found that some animals synchronize behaviors with lunar cycles, including breeding, migration, and feeding activity. Whether humans have similar biological responses remains debated, though many people report sleep disturbances around full moons. The cultural importance of moon naming persists, connecting us to ancestors who watch the same celestial cycles and face the same winter challenges, finding patterns and meaning in the sky's regular progressions through harsh seasons. Winter camping requires specialized skills and equipment to safely enjoy the snowy wilderness. What's manageable or even easy in summer becomes challenging and potentially dangerous in winter. Staying warm is the primary concern, requiring careful attention to insulation, heat generation, and heat loss prevention. Four-season tents designed for winter use have stronger poles and better wind resistance than summer tents. Inside the tent, sleeping bags rated for extreme cold, often to -20 or -40 degrees Fahrenheit, provide essential protection. Sleeping pads are equally crucial as they prevent heat loss to frozen ground. Many winter campers use 2 pads for extra insulation. Clothing follows the layering principle with moisture-wicking base layers, insulating mid-layers, and waterproof, breathable outer shells. Managing moisture is critical because wet clothing loses insulating value and can lead to hypothermia. Winter campers must balance staying warm with avoiding overheating and sweating. Water management presents unique challenges. Water bottles freeze unless kept insulated or inside sleeping bags. Many campers melt snow for water, a slow process that consumes significant fuel. Wide-mouth bottles are preferred because they're less likely to freeze shut. Food needs increase in winter as bodies burn more calories maintaining temperature. High-fat, high-calorie foods provide needed energy. Some foods freeze solid, requiring meal planning around what remains edible in extreme cold. Navigation becomes harder when snow covers trails and landmarks. Avalanche awareness and rescue skills are essential in mountainous terrain. Shorter days mean planning activities to finish with adequate daylight. Despite challenges, winter camping offers profound rewards. Snow-covered or landscapes transformed by frost and ice present otherworldly beauty. Solitude is nearly guaranteed as most people stay indoors. The silence of snow-covered forests creates meditative environments. Clear winter nights often bring spectacular stargazing. Successfully, winter camping builds confidence and deeper connection to nature's cycles and our own resilience. The winter wren is a tiny bird that survives northern winters through remarkable adaptations and behaviors. Weighing only about as much as 2 nickels, These diminutive birds face enormous challenges maintaining body temperature when surface area to volume ratios work against them. Winter wrens employ several strategies to survive. They have higher metabolic rates than larger birds, burning energy to generate heat, but requiring almost constant feeding during short winter days. They feed on insects, spiders, and other invertebrates hidden in bark crevices, under leaves, and in other protected spots. Their small size allows them to access food in tight spaces larger birds cannot reach. At night, winter wrens sometimes huddle together in groups, sharing body heat in tree cavities, nest boxes, or other sheltered spots. Records exist of 30 or more wrens cramming into a single nest box, creating a ball of birds that conserve heat collectively. Individual wrens can also lower their body temperature at night, entering shallow torpor that reduces energy needs but requires less profound physiological changes than hibernation. Their plumage provides excellent insulation, with dense feathers creating air pockets that trap heat. Winter wrens in northern populations grow denser plumage in winter than in summer. Despite their tiny size, winter wrens are tough and territorial, singing loudly to defend territories and chase off intruders. Their scientific name, troglodytes, means cave dweller, reflecting their habit of exploring dark, hidden spaces for food and shelter. These little birds demonstrate that size isn't destiny in surviving winter, and that the smallest creatures often possess some of the most remarkable adaptations. Their presence in winter woods, announced by their loud, complex songs, reminds us that life persists even in conditions that seem impossible, that winter's challenges create opportunities for those adapted to exploit them. And so our journey through winter's wonders comes to a gentle close. We've wandered from the intricate geometry of snowflakes to the vast expanse of Antarctic ice. From tiny ice worms living in glaciers to the epic migrations of caribou across frozen landscapes. We've explored how life adapts to winter's challenges, how water's unique properties make the season possible, and how winter has shaped cultures, ecosystems, and the planet itself throughout history. Perhaps some of these facts have surprised you. Perhaps others have deepened your appreciation for the cold season that transforms so much of our world. Or perhaps they've simply drifted through your consciousness like snowflakes, each one beautiful in its moment before melting into the larger landscape of rest and dreams. Winter reminds us that apparent harshness can harbor hidden beauty, that dormancy is preparation rather than ending, and that the coldest, darkest times often set the stage for renewal. The season that seems to still life actually sustains it, creating conditions for spring's eventual return. If you're still awake, thank you for joining me on this exploration of winter's mysteries. If you've enjoyed this journey, please consider liking and subscribing to the Cozy Curiosity channel, where we'll continue exploring the wonders of our world. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. But if your eyes have grown heavy and sleep is calling, simply let yourself drift. Let the images of crystalline ice and snowy landscapes carry you gently into rest. Tomorrow, winter will still be there with all its quiet magic, waiting to be rediscovered. Sleep well, stay curious, and may winter's peaceful beauty fill your dreams. Good night